Alright, so I'm going to see War of the Planet of the Apes. So I'm going to actually make my thoughts going into this film quick, because I'm running late and the movie starts in like 20 minutes, so I gotta get in there and go see this thing. The last two Planet of the Apes films were fantastic. Fantastic movies. Really well done, well made blockbusters. And this is the third in the trilogy. Generally, I've noticed when it comes to movie trilogies that in a perfect world, it would be an upcline in quality. You'd have the first one would be really good, the second one would be better, and then the third one would be the best. That's a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world, sadly. Most movie trilogies, it's the quality kind of is all over the map. It's usually like the first one is really good, the second one is the best, the third one sucks. Or sometimes it's like the second one was good, the first one was good, the second one was bad, the third one was better than the second, but not as good as the first. But basically, in terms of quality, you never really get that steady upcline. If there was ever a movie trilogy series that I think could pull off the perfect trilogy in terms of getting better and better as the movies go along, this is that series. I have complete and total faith that this movie could, that's the key word, could be the best movie in the Planet of the Apes remake trilogy. I'm probably building myself up for disappointment, but that's okay. That's fine if it doesn't live up to the hype. This is easily my most anticipated movie of the year. Like, right at the top. If this is the one that, out of all the movies that are coming out of this year, this is the one I was the most excited to see, because I'm really optimistic that this film series will have a solid trilogy under its belt, which is no easy feat, but if anybody can pull it off, it's this series here, because there's just so much to love in these films. So, yeah, that's my thoughts going into War for the Planet of the Apes. I'll see you guys when I get out, and hopefully it lives up to the hype, because there is a lot of hype for me in this film. Ciao.
I did not start this war. But I will finish it.
Ape Trilogy Strong. So, okay, so I just got out of seeing War of the Planet of the Apes, and I didn't take notes this time. I was in such a rush to get into the theater, I forgot to bring my notepad with me. So, apologies in advance if this review feels a little bit disjointed and my opinions aren't as organized as they usually are. But yeah, that being said, very good movie. I wouldn't say it exceeded or met my expectations, but I would definitely say it didn't disappoint my expectations either. I think this film was just as good as Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was. If you like that movie, you'll like this movie just fine. And that still means that what we have here is a solid trilogy. We have a film trilogy where every film is good, if not great, in some places. Let's talk about Caesar. First of all, god damn it, give Andy Serkis an Oscar. His performance in this movie is so good. I can kind of understand why the Academy is a bit hesitant when it comes to motion capture. Mostly due to the fact that it's kind of difficult to know where the performance ends and where the computer begins. Personally, in my opinion, I think it's no different than if you were doing a performance under makeup. The only difference is the makeup is in the computer. that being said, Andy Serkis, god dang, does his performance shine in these movies. He is what essentially carries these films, and it's all done through his performance and the way he conducts himself. He has such strong screen presence, and oh man, it's just a joy to watch. It really is. He deserves an Oscar. I seriously, Hollywood, get on it. If Andy Serkis isn't nominated for an Oscar for this film, I'm gonna burn the Academy down to the ground. Gonna burn it. The character of Caesar is, I think I like what they did with this character in this movie, in the sense that generally when movies have character development, it's usually towards a positive. It's generally like the character is flawed in some sense, he overcomes his flaws, and then at the end of the movie, he's usually better off for it. Very rarely do we see a film where the character development is towards the negative. And that's what I liked about this film, is that Caesar is already a good person, or I guess, a good ape. He's already a good character. He's very merciful, he doesn't want war, he doesn't want to fight, and the entire film is kind of pushing him into being a bit crueler. He kind of loses his humanity in a sense. And that's very fascinating to watch. And it's even more fascinating the fact that he loses his humanity somewhere around the middle of the film. And the very tail end of the film is him rediscovering and kind of coming to terms with some of the things that he's gone through. And I wouldn't necessarily say he becomes a better person for it, but he doesn't lose himself to the war. And that's the very interesting thing about this film, is that the title, War of the Planet of the Apes, is well deserved in this case. This is 100% a war film, and it knows it's a war film, and it celebrates the fact that it's a war film. There's a lot of references to like Platoon, Apocalypse Now, all those really good war films. It's definitely a war film. It's about losing ourselves to the war in a sense, and that's where the main villain shines in this film. Woody Harrelson is fantastic in this movie. What a performance. What a fantastic character. No, I shouldn't say fantastic. What an interesting character. What I really liked about Woody Harrelson is Woody Harrelson's a good actor. There's no denying that whatsoever. But I've never really seen a performance like this from him. Mostly due to the fact that he's friggin' scary in this film. He is really terrifying. There is this one scene where he's talking about, he's basically monologuing to Caesar, and he spells out all what he's about, and my God, there's a specific scene, I don't want to get into too spoilers, there's a specific scene at the end where he kind of, in a sense, he gets his just desserts, and I'll be damned if this movie didn't make me kind of feel sorry for this character. And that's really difficult to do, because he's doing some incredibly despicable things. I mean, he's putting apes in like a concentration camp. He is like ape Hitler in a sense. That's a very fine line to walk. And usually films lean towards one or the other. You're either incredibly despicable and there's no hope, or you're incredibly sympathetic and we want you to, and the villain almost becomes the hero. This vlog finds that right balance where it's like you're despicable, but also likable. And it's all, part of it is due to the writing, but most of it is Woody Harrelson's performance. Huge major props to this guy. This is one of his strongest performances to date, or at least one of the strongest performances I've ever seen him do. One of the new characters that this film introduces is this character called Bad Ape, played by Steve Zahn, I think his last name is, Steve Zahn. And I was actually really kind of impressed with this character in the sense that this film does a lot of things that in the hands of a different creative crew, in the hands of a different director, in the hands of a different writers, actors, this film does a lot of things that in the hands of a different crew would have come across as stupid and maybe even a little annoying. And Bad Ape was one of them. It's kind of impressive that I liked Bad Ape as much as I could. He's obviously there to be the comedic relief, the comedy relief. And there's some legitimately funny moments, but the film was very smart in not having him overstay his welcome. They were very smart in making sure they knew that when he's supposed to be funny and that he wasn't like intruding. They knew when to be dramatic and serious, and they knew when it was okay to have a joke. And I'm really kind of thankful for that, because this character could have been easily like an annoying side character that we meet along the way. But thankfully, he actually is one of the most interesting characters in this film. What else can I talk about this film? Holy crap, is it dark? I wouldn't necessarily say it's as dark as... No, actually, it is definitely darker than Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was. But that's kind of necessary. I mean, it's a war film. You gotta go dark and gritty when it comes to doing a war film. But some of the imagery in this is just downright beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful imagery in this film. There's this one scene where this little girl is looking the entire place is covered in snow, and there's like this single cherry blossom tree, and just the harsh whites mixed with the soft pinks, and then this little figure in front of it. It just looks great. Just looks fantastic. This is a really well-directed film. Apparently, the guy that directed this film is doing the next Batman movie with Ben Affleck. All for it. All for it. Let him do it. I can imagine he can do some really cool things with Batman, visually, in a sense. The special effects, these films get better and better with the special effects, and they're actually managing to do more and more with motion capture. In the first one, it was basically like, okay, can we make these apes look real and stuff like that? And for the most part, they pull it off. And then in the second one, they were kind of playing with the environment, I guess you could say. It's like, okay, we can make the apes look real, but can we make the apes look real in rain? Can we make the apes look real in different environments? And in this one, they kind of take that another step further, where it's like, okay, can we make the apes look real, and can we make the apes look like they're actually there, but can we put them in hostile environments like snow, and can we actually submerge an ape in water and make it look real? And that's incredibly difficult. Water is a very difficult thing to do with CGI, and especially when it comes to something like snow too, because you have to you watch this movie and you don't really think about all the fact that all the snow chunks that like stick to the character's fur, that's just something you just kind of take for granted. It's kind of interesting knowing that those snow chunks weren't really there, that was all done in a computer. Was there any flaws in this film? Yes, there was kind of a flaw, but I don't know how much I would consider it a flaw. I kind of feel like it's a nitpick in a sense, but one of the things that I noticed going into this film was that it took me a little while to find my footing. And I don't know if that's just me personally or if other people kind of felt that. But with both Rise and Dawn, they have scenes at the very beginning of the film where just bam, you're into it. You're sucked into the movie almost instantly. Like the one that I think Dawn does it the best, where literally the first shot of the film is just Caesar's eyes and the camera pans back, and just something about that imagery and something about the thunder, the rain, the chimpanzees making their noises. There's just instantly sucks you right into the film. And I didn't really have that with this film. Like, the film starts off incredibly well. There's texts that detail what happens in the previous two films. There's this great kind of war scene, and just it was good, but it didn't really suck me in until somewhere around the ending of the first act, which thankfully isn't that long. It's like maybe 15 minutes into the movie. The film kind of picks up, and when it picks up, it was fantastic. I loved everything that came afterwards. It's just that first act was a little bit slow in some sense. But like I said, that kind of feels like a nitpick, honestly, because the stuff in the first act is really good. It's just not really engaging, or at least it wasn't that engaging to me. Geez, what else can I talk about this film? I really wish I took notes. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts of War of the Planet of the Apes. Like I said, I kind of wish I took notes on this film. I would have been able to go into a little bit more detail about some of the things that I saw. But from what basically my initial thoughts coming out of it, it was pretty dang good. I really enjoyed it. It didn't meet my expectations, but that's kind of my fault. I think my expectations were a little too high. But it was definitely a solid, well-made conclusion to the Planet of the Apes reboot trilogy. And I definitely recommend it. Go see it. Seriously, stop watching this video. Go watch Rise and Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes if you haven't seen them already. Go watch them. Go out. Go see this film, because this is, without a doubt, a very solid trilogy. And that's very rare to come by nowadays. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos published every Friday, hit that subscribe button. And if you like this film, or you have different thoughts about this film, comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear them. So anyway, that's my thoughts on War of the Planet of the Apes. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.